Dear MSU class of 2021, graduations are special ceremonies in which we celebrate great accomplishments. In addition to recognizing the hard work of students and faculty, colleges and universities celebrate individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the educational, business, scientific, and cultural life of the state and the nation. We recognize these individuals by awarding honorary degrees. Provost Mokwa will now present the candidate for the honorary doctoral degree.
President Cruzado, please focus your attention on the projection screens for a brief video about today's honorary doctoral degree recipient, Mr. Taylor Brown.
The brand new Lockwood High School is only 2 years old, but they're already launching Montana's newest Ag Ed and FFA program. Lockwood High School Principal Gordon Glass.
My dad was born in Sheridan, Wyoming, moved to Sand Springs, Montana, where our ranch is now in 1960, and he grew up at the ranch in Sand Springs, Montana.
He really enjoyed being out there, and he'll say that he was the only kid in his class from first grade all the way till 8th grade. Never had another kid in his class until he went to high school at Fergus County High School in Lewistown. And so that kind of formed who he was, but really made close relationships with the folks out there. And that one-room schoolhouse still there on our ranch today, and kind of a landmark for us, both for the ranch and kind of for the history of our family in a lot of ways.
He got really involved with the vocational education program or the extracurricular activities with FFA. If you were interested in agriculture at all, you went to Montana State University.
If you asked my dad if he was going to be a broadcaster when he went to Bozeman in 1975, I'm sure he'd have said no. My dad was figuring on being in Sand Springs the rest of his life, so probably figured what's a year or two of trying something different, and just fell in love with the broadcasting industry, found a way to better and more broadly serve Montana agriculture through broadcasting.
And Russian activity on the Polish border makes the possibility of the embargo being lifted much worse. And add on to that the traditionally slower holiday market, finding those grain prices sharply lower at $4.59 and a quarter.
Well, Taylor was kind of a natural in leadership. He and I became good friends through the AGR house primarily. And as you know, he was elected student body president at MSU and became president and chairman of the Montana Broadcasters Association, and then on to the National Broadcasters Association. And then he bought his radio station from Conrad Burns, Senator Conrad Burns at the time. And I think that a number of us, me included, encouraged him to run for office because he was natural for it. And he won easily.
He worked well with Democrats across the aisles, Republicans, different governors. Taylor has that ability to make connections to get things done. And Taylor did the Ag Bioscience building. This was an incredible accomplishment. Taylor, it was a grassroots movement that raised over 60% of the money needed to put this building together. And he did it by working with, I think, well over 200 ranchers and ag business people. In addition to what Taylor's obviously done for Montana State University, he has worked to sustain the ag community of Montana and the region. He has a real passion for it that goes beyond just his own personal interest. His involvement with FFA, 4-H, Real Montana. I can't even count all the things that Taylor's done for agriculture, both in terms of working through Northern Ag Broadcasting, his work in government, and just as an individual activist for agriculture.
He was always front and center on education, whether it be FFA, whether it be schools, or whether it be the university. And if it hadn't been for Taylor, I think that we would have not had nearly the support we had in all three of these areas.
President Cruzado, it is my privilege to present to you Mr. Taylor Brown, who will receive an honorary doctorate of humane letters.
William Taylor Brown, in recognition of your long and prominent career as a well-respected broadcaster, rancher, and former state legislator, for your widespread regard as one of Montana's most recognizable and trusted radio voices, providing valuable information to ranching and farming families in the state and the region, for your commitment to sustaining agriculture in Montana through service and outreach, for your tireless efforts in securing private funding for Montana State University's Animal Bioscience Building, and for your influential and significant work in the Montana legislature as a supporter of agriculture, Montana State University, MSU Extension, the Montana Agricultural Experiment Station, and the entire Montana University system. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the Montana University system, and on the recommendation of the faculty of Montana State University, I confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto. In token of which, I present this diploma and cause you to be invested with the hood of Montana State University appropriate to your degree. Provost Makwa, please present the hood to Mr. Taylor Brown. And now, Dr. Brown, we would appreciate if you share a message with the MSU graduating class.
Thank you, Dr. Cruzado. I am so proud of you guys. We just came through one of the most difficult times in America's history. And yet, despite the coronavirus pandemic and all its challenges, just look at you and look at Montana State University. As strong as it has ever been. I mean, look at the leaders, look at the educators and alumni and donors who've given so much. Why? Because they supported and believed in you. And finally, here you are. It's kind of humbling, isn't it? Because this doesn't just happen by itself. It happened because you set a goal and because a lot of individuals around Montana and around the whole world believed in you. But those individuals then committed to engage, and they funded the scholarships, and they contributed to the buildings, and they voted for the mill levies, and they provided your student internships, and they funded the research projects that you worked on. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to be a Jake Jabs or a Norm Asbjornson or a Mark and Robin Jones, for whom we are so grateful. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to be a multi-million-dollar donor or chair of the MSU Foundation or the Senate Education Committee or be on a college advisory board. However, as Vice President Hansen said, you need to do something, even if it's a small thing, to pay back and give back. Because as you turn this page today and move forward, you need to decide right now to stay engaged, because those little things add up. I'm proof of that. And everybody can do something. I mean, as you leave this campus with your new degree in hand, Resolve that you'll do something to pay it back, what others did for you. And there's a multitude of things. What can you do as you leave Montana State with your new degree in hand? Well, for one thing, you can show up at MSU events. You can get to be known as the advocate for MSU in your home community. In your local high school, you can make it a point to seek out those students who you think can benefit from Montana State, like you did, like I did, and you can encourage them. And oh yeah, I'm talking about that rural ranch kid, that little shy Taylor Brown who came out of that one-room grade school. I mean, just as green and as country as you can imagine. We can together transform kids like that. You know it. You've seen it. I never tire of hearing President Cruzado talk about the transformative mission of land-grant universities like Montana State, because I've seen it. I've lived it. I'm the living proof. And second, you can become an advocate in your community with your local legislators and thought leaders, because believe it or not, some of them have not seen this success firsthand, this transformation, and some don't yet comprehend the transformative aspect that changed you and changed me. Be the visible example to them. And third, you can be the MSU advocate in your own family, with your kids and your spouse and your nieces and your nephews. Share what MSU did for you, like what it did for my family, for my brother and my sisters and my kids who are here today. And speaking of family and spouses, of all the things that MSU did for me, when I first met the girl who would be my wife of almost 42 years so far, it was just a few yards from this spot right here. And it was because Montana State brought Shannon and I together. You think I don't know why I'm successful? That lady right there is the reason. And finally, you can pay back what you owe to MSU by being the moral support for the leaders of Montana State, like the people here in this room that put on this marvelous ceremony for you and me, the people on this stage, and the faculty here in the front who devoted so much to you. Of course, my examples are based in agriculture. But, for example, if you like how the Vice President for Agriculture fights for ag research and extension in every county of the state, then send her a note of encouragement once in a while. Or if you like seeing FFA students by the hundreds on campus for the John Deere Expo as much as Dave Kelsey does, or if you like the statement that is being made when you see the MSU rodeo team ride their horses out onto that football field, then send a note to President Cruzado and thank her team, because this kind of stuff doesn't just happen on its own. It takes uncommon leadership. And perhaps most important, take time today or tonight to thank God for putting you here. Just think of the odds of all the millions of places you could have been, all the families and situations you could have born into in India and China and Africa and all over the world, all the places you could have been, but you get to be here. You've already won the lottery, man. Don't forget whose plan allowed that to happen. And it's okay if you just want to pray under your breath right now and just say, thank you, God, for allowing me to be here right now. So I thank you for allowing me and my family to be part of your celebration today. Thank you to Dr. Pat Hatfield and our Animal and Range Science Department. And in closing, I just urge you to resolve to do what's right and do your best, and to step up and engage in some fashion to pay back what was provided to you. Be an advocate for the transformative change you see in your community, in your family, and in today's honorary doctor. Now do something with it. Make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown, for the contributions you have made to the state of Montana. Through your leadership, you have enhanced the life of so many in our communities and the state in everlasting ways. In honor of your devotion to agriculture and your love for our land-grant university, the platform party is wearing cowboy boots today. We are extremely proud and grateful to call you a Bobcat.